Yo. What's good, everybody? It's been a little while. Yo, Paul, what's up, dude? We had Lavender Unicorn first in chat. Sebastian says yes. Car Mander or K4R Mander. Lovely to see you. Triptondo, hello. And yeah. Paul, I saw a couple message of you guys rooting for me in the SMU Discord. I appreciate you. It was a pretty good run. And we're going to get into it. I'm simul streaming on YouTube today as well. We have Swap over in the YouTube chat. Hello. Charmy Girl says Kia ora from New Zealand. I'm not familiar. Who's Kia ora? Is that you? Yeah, it was great to see you too, Lavender Unicorn. You're almost late to class. Dude, you just should have told your professor if you were late. Professor would be like, Paul. Oh, Kia ora means hello in your native language. Very cool. I did not know. Forgive my ignorance, but is that like a Kiwi language? Is that what you would say? Or is there like a name for that language? I don't think I'm going to play Kalos Tour. Well, wait. I probably am, right? There's a remote one next weekend is what you're talking about. I'm not going to LA. That's this weekend. But Paul, I was going to say, yeah, if your professor was like, Paul, you're 5 minutes late. You just had to say like, oh my gosh, teach. Prof. Rise was playing. And then your professor would be like, oh, okay. Who was Rise playing? He was playing Pto Man. Oh, okay. Rise was playing Pto Man. All right. I mean, fair enough. It's a good excuse. Crimer Pokemon, hello. It's Maori, but you're all Kiwis. I got you. Well, chat. We're going to get into this recap in just a second. I'm trying to get slightly more upbeat beats here. Slightly more upbeat beats. It's a little too slow for my liking. This sounds a little bit better. But yeah, let's get into this. I'm excited. Normally when I do these recaps...
Who do you think you are? I am!
OMG, Alexa, hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Normally I like watch back the battles all like multiple times. I've only kind of like skimmed through once. So it'll be good to refresh. It'll almost be like watching it back for the first time. Krissa asks, how did you feel with the limited meta as opposed to a regular meta? That's a great question. I felt really good. With this particular limited meta, it's just you're not really gonna hard counter anybody, right? It's so neutral, and I do very much enjoy that. I think it's great. I will say when it becomes like super duper condensed, where most teams are like 4 or 5 of the same Pokemon, that's when like it can also be a little difficult where it's like, how do you create an advantage for yourself when you've got a near mirror match most of the time? So I look at it both ways. Like, I do really like it because you're almost never going to get hard countered unless maybe you run like a riskier line. But also it creates these games where it's like, how do you give yourself an advantage when you're both running like Dunsparce, Drapion, Spiritomb, right? So it becomes very, very technical. It's almost like a chess match. Try to position your pieces when you have the same pieces, right? And trying to give yourself an advantage. Anywho. When did I play on day one? I was like later, I think. I had a later call time. I think I was after NTC, yeah. Colin and Weedle. Was I after ZZ and Spartan? Oh, yeah, that's me. 'Tis I. Chris versus Chris. What a match. Also, shout out to Martine and Martine. What a duo. Martine and Martine. Shout out to them. Also, Emilio, hi. Good to see you, man. Hope all is well. Paul asks, any reason you think we didn't see much Dragalgia? I felt like Drag plus Grim was on almost every UIC team in factions. That's a good question. I think Dragalge was good, but it just like loses to Kingdra. Because the Aquatail doesn't really threaten Kingdra at all, right? So I think that's one reason not as many people opted for it. And plus just like the ground weakness. Yo! OMG! The legend, Home Slice Henry, with the huge raid. 109 viewers. Thank you so much, Henry. I appreciate you as always. 3 Squared Feet. Thank you for the follow. We've got the copy pasta. Wow. Is this the funny YouTube man with 5 regional wins? I don't know. Funny? That's debatable. But 5 regional wins, that is a factual statement. So I won't dispute that. Rude Boy Soldier, thank you for the follow. First time chatter, Zara Tool. Welcome in. OMG, Paula. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Paula, congrats on a great performance yourself as well. Yo, Green Slash, pleasure meeting you in person as well, man. Pleasure was all mine after seeing your name in my chat all these years. But yeah, perfect timing, guys. We haven't even really started yet. And Spiral, thank you for the follow. So, as everyone files in, we Paul in chat just asked, I think, a great question. OMG, you know what's funny? Paula just said in chat, "Shut up, silly goose." You'll never guess what shirt I'm wearing today. Today I'm a serious goose. This is like a workout shirt. Serious goose here. Paula likes it. Okay, so where were we? Silly goose, serious goose. We've got Martine and Martine, which is a pretty epic pairing. You know, they've basically got the same name. They're both goats. And then oh yeah. I think someone sent me that 3 square feet. Caleb had like a slight typo. And instead of Like first player to win a regional every season. He said first player to ever win a regional, which is kind of funny. Trivia question, chat. Who was the actual first person to win a regional? Does anyone know? Oh, that was you that sent it to me? Yep, Triptondo got it. Lurgan Rocket. Yo, what's up, 2-0 Butters? Butters is correct in that King was the first person from NA to win a regional at Indianapolis. First NA regional winner. Also, fun fact, in that tournament, which I think Butters was casting, I was the first ever streamed match. And because I don't think Liverpool had a stream, right? I think I was the first stream match in general of Pokemon Go PvP in the Play Pokemon Championship Series. Anyway, well, the way this is going, this might be one of those streams that just takes a long time, and that's fine. I've missed you guys. YouTube chat, it's Kramer. My bad. I got you, Kramer. Peter, hello. Lion, hello. Yes, Pto Man is insane. We will get to that. And yeah, Oranguru was 100% usage at LAIC. So this meta at least saw a little bit more variety than we saw in LAIC. Mud Puppy 52, thank you for the follow. You know, Mud Puppy, when I read your name, I immediately think of Puppy Chow. Now, if I said Puppy Chow, chat, who knows what I'm referencing? Who knows what Puppy Chow is? Because I learned later in life, I mean, I'm only 27. I'm still somewhat young. But I learned later in life, in my old age, that not a lot of people know what Puppy Chow is. Henry knows. Midwesterner. Because I don't know if I was in college or maybe I was studying abroad, which I've never mentioned once on my stream before. But I remember mentioning Puppy Chow and people had no idea what I was talking about. They looked at me like I was crazy. Basically, chat, Puppy Chow is like Chex Mix or like Chex cereal with melted chocolate, peanut butter, and powdered sugar. Probably an insane amount of calories, but it is one of the most delicious things you will ever eat or try in your life. Yeah, maybe it's called different stuff in other places. Sounds healthy, Carmenter said. Kind of the opposite, but I mean, healthy for the soul, maybe. Well, we're getting distracted. The question Paul asked earlier was, how did I feel about the limited meta? And what I didn't say was, like, when I started PvP back in 2020, yeah, 2020, like, my introduction to PvP was, you know, limited metas and, like, Sylph and grassroots tournaments. So, like, I've always loved limited metas. And when Play Pokemon became a thing, like, I considered myself like a limited meta player and not like a open Great League player. And, you know, I would say, obviously, like, I've been able to adjust, right? And maybe now I would consider myself an open Great League player because I've been able to have a lot of success in that format, which I'm fortunate to have. But, like, I was so excited when I heard that LAIC was going to be a limited meta because it was like, oh my gosh, it's finally here. It's finally happening. And then I got lucky enough where I was selected to cast LAIC, which was a huge honor. So I was, like, really happy about that. I was stoked. But at the same time, as a competitor, I was, like, a little bit disappointed because I didn't know if this was going to be like a one-time experiment or if it was going to keep happening. So luckily, it seems like this is going to be a consistent theme for the ICs, and I was really excited to play in a limited meta. And that being said, we should probably get into the battles. We're at 19 minutes, 20 minutes. Nat Woodley, what's up? Yeah, no problem, Mud Puppy. Appreciate you. Now, the big question is World's going to be a limited meta. That would be pretty crazy. I think I might be in the minority, but I would actually love if Worlds was a limited meta. I would prefer that. I might be in the minority on that, but to me, the thing that makes Worlds so incredibly difficult is I feel like in Open Great League, each region kind of likes their own different metas. So like, it's so difficult for Worlds because I feel like depending on who you play and where they're from, you might play a completely different team. So you just can't really prepare for everything. So I would love a limited meta for Worlds personally, but I don't know if most people would. Anyway.
What?
Martin and Martine. Look at those two handsome devils. Isn't that what's kind of cool about Worlds? I mean, yeah, you could say that, but I think Worlds, you know, the cool thing is just you got all the best battlers in the world for the most part trying to become world champion, and like everyone had to qualify to get there. You had to earn an invitation to get there, so that in itself makes it pretty cool. But here we go, chat. This is day one, winners finals. So to get to this point, I was in Group I, which means I was the 9th overall seed in this tournament. So I was in Group I. My first opponent, Jughead Fan, was not there, so I got a free win. And then I played this trainer by the name of Foe. Is that how I would say that? Foe. And this trainer was, I think, a TCG player that just kind of registered for Go. And I will tell you, they ran a pretty spicy team. If you don't want the spoiler, of what placing I finished, look away. But yeah, this was their team. Alolan Executor, Kecleon, Porygon, Raticate with Bite Hyper Beam. That is not the best pacing. That is not the best pacing. Home Slice Henry should run this in a video and see if he can win with Bite Hyper Beam Raticate. Sea King, which is a good pick in this meta, but a little bit underleveled. And a Shelgon with Ember Dragon Pulse. So, you know, I don't take any opponent lightly, but I will say, if I was being a little bit, I don't know, this was kind of like a free win in a sense, you know? Oh. But we took down that opponent and their Shelgon. We played at JKJK, who I'd heard of before, and I think has had some solid performances. And then I played Maxi, who, by the way, Maxi, I think he had some issues with, like, his team registration, and he wasn't sure if he could make it in general, so he actually got a game loss issued for round 1. But luckily, they still let him, you know, play and everything, and he clutched out a 2-0, 2-0, 2-1. So I play Maxi here in winners semifinals of Group I. And I remember getting extremely lucky game 1, where it literally came down to one turn where like one sucker punch from his Spiritomb was clearly going to knock out my Kingdra. And I couldn't tell if one Dragon Breath was going to knock out his Spiritomb. And then the game did that like pause thing, you know, that it does in Europe for some reason. So like I couldn't even tell who won or if it was a tie or not. But luckily I won the game 1. And then I think game 2 was like a little bit more convincing. I got pretty good alignment on him, which set us up in the winners finals against Chris here. Now, Chris, if you're unfamiliar with his game, has been having a stellar season. He's also best friends with Pto Man. They're both from Spain. And Chris, starting in Frankfurt, look at this. 5th place, 4th place, 13-13. So, like, has made day 2 in every tournament he's played in this season. Has been having a really stellar season. And I knew he was going to be, I keep doing that, a tough opponent. You know what, chat? I'm just vibing. I'm not even going to do 2 times speed. I'm just going to keep this at normal speed. All vibes today. Thank you, Mormon Matt. Where does one get the hoodie? Shout out to Hungry Wolfpack. You guys will see the hoodie in a little sec. Hungry Wolfpack, a.k.a. the GOAT, a.k.a. the nicest guy in the world. He sent me a message saying he was at the Pokemon Center and if I wanted anything. And I was like, oh, dang, like, is there anything exclusive or cool? And he's like, I'd recommend the sweatshirt. And I was like, sure, yeah. And Venmo doesn't work in Europe, so it only works in the US. So I paid him back once I got back home. Thank you, Ranger. Thank you, thank you. But yes, we have a Chris versus Chris matchup here. What's up, San Hudigo? Good seeing you, man, as always. Bad Mannerisms, what's up? Welcome, welcome. Here we go. And because I haven't really talked about the team yet, I mean, I don't know if there's a ton really to break down in this meta. This is kind of the standard. My team is, it's literally 5 of the 6 top usage Pokemon in Dunsparce, Licky, Spiritomb, Drapion, and Kingdra. And then the one exception is Beedrill, which Spidops had higher usage overall. But when you talk about day 2, I think Beedrill was higher usage than Spidops for day 2. Why the double rollout? So that was a big point of, I don't want to say like controversy, because I think multiple people ran it. But when I was practicing, I swear almost every person I scrimmed against, whether it was like Harry or Thorn or Pocket or Nighttime Clasher, like they all kind of didn't really love, not that they were hating on it, but they thought double rollout was kind of a bad idea just because they feel like Licky and Dunsparce just overlap too much. But my argument would be they're like 2 of the most neutral Pokemon in the meta, and they have some different strengths and weaknesses. For example, Dunsparce has a much like better time against Spiritomb than Licky does. And you also can like pace to the drill run faster against things like Drapion. And if I play something like a Frostlass Dragalge team, then Dunsparce is really valuable. So yeah. Paula says Shadow Ball Licky, and I'm gonna be honest, my original thinking was like, Shadow Ball seems kind of nice just for the neutral matchups, but then I reverted my thinking in practice because I was like, so many things resist Shadow Ball in these teams. Like every team has multiple Shadow Ball resistances. And then I played against Shadow Ball Licky, and I was like, dang, this thing is heck annoying. I was gonna say hella, and then I backed out of saying a hella like it's that bad of a word. Not really. This thing is so annoying because the reason Shadow Ball Licky was so annoying is because it suddenly like makes the Spiritomb matchup not comfortable at all. Versus Spiritomb just like eats Earthquake Licky. Like Spiritomb wakes up at the hotel. It goes to the continental breakfast. And on the side of like the beans and toast that they serve in London is a side of Earthquake Licky Licky. And Spiritomb just eats it. So that's like the main reason Shadow Ball is, I think, is actually like a solid pick in this meta. But here we go. Up against Chris in game number 1, and I lead Dunsparce into Spiritomb, it looks like. And I think this is kind of the ideal play if you lead Spiritomb into Dunsparce, is to make a catch after 7. I then swap my Spiritomb as my counter swap into the Milotic, and I like to take this thinking that, you know, he already has all that energy on the Spiritomb. I don't really want to use a shield here if I don't have to. And then I throw on Alignment here to make sure I get off my Rock Tomb before his next Aqua Tail, and he's just going to let it go. And I think I'm in a range where I don't quite get Sucker Punched down. So he actually opts to come in with the Drapion. And this is where you see how crazy Spiritomb is in this matchup, where like this is not really a comfortable matchup for Drapion. He goes for the Crunch. Aqua Tail would have been close to knocking out. It might have been enough, but he plays it safe. And I shield because I'm at the Rock Tomb, right? So I can blind throw Rock Tomb and get his shield or do a lot of damage. And now the Drapion swaps out. He comes back in with Spiritomb, and I swap my Dunsparce. I look up, which I often do, just kind of thinking about energy probably. Throw this as soon as I can. Start putting on a little bit of pressure. And I think Chris... Yeah, what does he do here? I think he lets me actually get to the next. Yeah, he lets me get to the next instead of throwing, which I guess makes sense because otherwise if he throws, maybe I can just Sucker Punch him down. So he goes for the full farm down, but he comes out quite low and he no longer has any shields. I come in with Spiritomb, kind of forcing him to either throw energy or swap out. And he elects to swap out. He tanks. He saves a bunch of energy. Aqua Tail knocks me out. And at this point, I'm thinking, you know what? He's switch locked for a while. I think my play is to simply double up on Aqua Tail. And that way I can take this Aqua Tail. Hopefully my Aqua Tail knocks out his Drapion. And I can CMP the Spiritomb. Thank you, Nutcase. Will the Aqua Tail knock out? It does. And I'm able to CMP his Spiritomb on the Rock Tomb. I could have actually reached a Crunch here, but I felt like Aqua Tail would be enough even with the Rock Tomb debuff. And this is going to give us game number 1. It's funny how it feels kind of slow when you're like watching it in the game, right? It doesn't, when you're like actually playing, it doesn't feel slow, but when you're like watching it back, I think because we're so used to doing videos in like 1.5 speed. All right, so we take game 1. Game number 2, lead Drapion into Spiritomb. Now, you may think this is a great lead. Not as great as you think. Spiritomb just straight up wins the one shield scenario here. And I probably go for the Aqua Tail bait. Yeah, I liked baiting this because most players are always going to want to shield the Crunch. It's fun watching back, seeing players' reactions. Watch Chris. Watch Chris here. He's like, okay. All right, then. Yeah, Henry says Drape low-key sucks here. Because the problem is, like, if you're willing to play out the 2s as Drape to win, you come out double debuffed. And you're, like, still on the back foot, in a sense. So he throws another rock to him, and check this out. Like, I'm down a shield. He's still super healthy. So I'm going to have to expend both of these. He swaps my Lodic. And here, I should have gone Beedrill. When he swapped this Milotic, shields are down. I should have gone Beedrill because I can tank an Aqua Tail and get to an X-Scissor and basically knock out the Milotic. But I go Dunsparce instead just because in my head I'm thinking like, you know, shields down, right? I don't want Beedrill taking a move, but shields are down anyway. Beedrill's going to have to take a move anyway at some point, so I come in with Dunsparce. Should have gone Beedrill here. He goes for Wrap since I'm locked in to debuff my defense. I go for Drill Run. I throw here to make sure he can't like double Aqua Tail me before I get off a Drill Run. I have a lot of energy on Drape. And I figure he might expect like the combo play. So I didn't go for it, but I guess it wouldn't have really mattered. And now here, could I have Poison Stung down? Maybe. Maybe. That's probably what, like 3 Poison Stings? So if I had Poison Stung down here, that would have been really good. And you see my reaction. As soon as I throw this Aqua Tail, I'm like, oh, I don't like this. Because I'm just giving farm to something. So, like, even if I had Simul KO'd the Spiritomb, that probably would have been better than throwing that Aqua Tail there. I do get off a Crunch at least, which is pretty big. But Licky gets a sizable farm down. And I've got very little health on B. And then Chris just immediately sends the Earthquake. And this is kind of the mind games, right? With high-level players is like, you know, and then he combo plays with the Aqua Tail. So very nice endgame. Just playing very, like, aggressive and succinct for Chris to not give me any room for catches. Also, maybe Paula knows the answer. Paula, what's with these young Spanish gentlemen and their, like, swag and their aura? I feel like Chris and Pato just have incredible swag and aura. They should give me some. But Chris ties up the series 1 game apiece. This was also my first lost game of the tournament. And when I was able to win against Maxi earlier on, I actually thought that I was done for the day. Because I thought based off what they said, it was like top 64. And it was a top 64. However, the top 64 was like a little bit unbalanced. It was like winners of each group. And then like loser semis plus loser finalist awaiting loser semis. So like I actually thought I was done for the day until I saw that they were streaming winners finals. And I'm like, oh, I'm not done for the day. But here we go, game 3. And this game 3 ends up being pretty crazy. We're thinking. Saying swag in 2026? Do people not say swag anymore? I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that in the patch notes. All right, game 3. I get a good lead. Spiritomb into Licky Licky. And I look at him, dude. Dude, I never used to do this. I, like, never look at people. Like, but this meta is so bait dependent. It's like, I found myself looking at people. Like, if I could read whether they were baiting or not. So I'm able to shield an Earthquake, and like immediately that's pretty nice, right? Because it's a lot of energy. I can debuff this thing. And I decide to catch the debuffed Earthquake on my Dunsparce so I can save the energy on Spiritomb for later where it might be more valuable. However, the debuffed Earthquake that I caught is going to make it so Chris can actually end up knocking out my my Dunsparce here with a single Rock Tomb plus the Sucker Punch damage. So this Rock Tomb probably did like just barely enough to knock out. I come in with my own Spiritomb and I throw a Rock Tomb here right before he gets there. He shields to get off his own Rock Tomb. I understand that his Licky Licky is like in farm down range, so I shield because I know I can debuff his last Pokemon. And it is the Milotic. Of course, Shadow Ball would do more, but I think it's more valuable to get my my debuff off here. And I swap into Licky Licky. I'm going to build up to the Earthquake here and go for Body Slam. Now, I thought about going for the Earthquake, but I felt like this was just kind of the safer play. Because I feel like him shielding an Earthquake would be more likely to open up lose conditions than maybe him letting a Body Slam go through. And this was such an awkward position, right? Because, like, I know the swap is coming, and it's like, do I throw immediately to take less Sucker Punch damage, or do I overfarm more? It was so awkward. But I overfarm a little more. Throw Body Slam. Throw Body Slam against his Licky Licky. And he kind of has to shield. I get to another. And now here, I knew his Milotic was so low. I thought maybe like I could quick swap into a Sucker Punch, but he reads it. And at this point, I'm like kicking myself because I'm like, oh no, did I just throw this game by swapping? Because like 2 Sucker Punches gets him there. And now it's a fast attack off. 1, 2, 3. And luckily my rollouts do enough here in the end game to get us the win. So good games against Chris. And, you know, I saw Chris was like a little bit hard on himself on Twitter. And I just want to say this kid is so dang good and so talented that, like, I hope he doesn't get discouraged, because what he's already done this season on its own. Shoot, I don't know his Twitter handle off the top of my head. If it's like something different than his in-game name, but I saw he had a tweet where he was like feeling a little bit disappointed, feeling like he said something to the extent of like he doesn't know if he'll ever win a tournament. And I just think that's crazy, considering if you look at this kid's results, right? Like, he's played in 11 career tournaments, and this trajectory has just gotten better and better with multiple top 8s and a top 16 just at the biggest tournament ever. So, like, I hope he keeps a positive frame of mind, because I feel like not only does he have it in him, but, like, I don't know. He could be one of the best. Anyway. We take the win against Chris. And that's going to set up day number 2. Not quite here yet. But my first match on day 2 was against Spartan.
Very similar teams.
Which is actually a rematch of just a couple weeks before this. So Spartan and I played in Merida in the grand finals, right? And I was able to win. Now we've got a rematch here on day 2. And there were some technical difficulties. Basically, I think what was happening was my phone was getting the the no location found, so they had to sort that out for a little bit. And Spartan and I had the Mir team with the one exception that he had Zweilous instead of Drapion. So the Mir team, but Zweilous instead of Drapion. And the Zweilous definitely was like a concern for me because it beats Drapion, it beats Spiritomb hard, and then it like kind of beats Licky, Kingdra, Dunsparce. Like it can beat all three of those. So I guess Kingdra wins CMP, right? So Kingdra should win unless you're like behind a turn. But like on the swap scenario, Kingdra is going to lose. So the Zweilous was definitely a concern for me. But I do have a Shadow Beedrill, right? So that in and of itself can help deter people from bringing the Zweilous. And I did a ton of scrims. And as someone that, you know, has been able to make day 2 multiple times, what I typically do is I only worry about the first matchup. I don't look past it. Like I only prepare for the first matchup of the day. And I did a lot of scrims against people, and they did not go so well. Like I was losing a lot, and I was getting a little bit flustered. I was almost like, I was not feeling good because like it's basically a mirror match, but the Zweilous I felt just kind of limited my lines, you know, where I can't really run Spiritomb, Drapion, ABA. Yeah. Ricardo, this may make you feel bad. Should I still say it? Should I still say something if it'll make you feel bad? Yeah, I think Ricardo was the only person I beat. I played like 7 different people. Ricardo was the only person I beat, and I did beat SJ as well, except he like lagged, so it didn't really count. And the annoying thing with this matchup was like, depending on who I played, they would run completely different lines. So like some people would bring Zweilous every single game, and some people wouldn't bring Zweilous at all. So it made me... I was just like not feeling super good about this matchup. But I decided, you know, I'm just going to be confident. Like, I'm just going to give what the game gives me and what the lead is and just go from there, or just try to play my best, you know? That's the Galaxy Brain IQ play, right? Try to play your best. That's the secret strat. So I lead Spiritomb into Kingdra, which is good for me, kind of. unless they start baiting. Look at this. Another look. Did you see it? Did you catch it? Another look. Is he baiting? Is he not? And we call the bait correctly. Pog. This allows me to overfarm a ton. So I'm almost at 100 energy here. I'm 1 Sucker Punch off 2 moves. And just immediately, like from that single decision, right? We're like in a very advantageous situation. Throw Rock Tomb here. I probably should have done 4. I probably should have done 4 and then thrown, because if I'd done 4, then I could have like stayed in, right? And thrown another move. But because I only did 1, I was going to get farmed down. So I have to swap Dunsparce here. We grab a shield. Throws Rock Tomb here, but once again, this is the nice versatility of having Dunsparce. As this matchup is just a lot more neutral than Lickitung is against Spiritomb. And then check this out. I think my Dunsparce actually holds on with like 1 HP to get to a third drill run here before he can farm down. And this puts him in a difficult spot where he's forced to shield. And I hard swap my own Spiritomb. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, even if I let this go and he debuffs my Kingdra, I think my Kingdra can still beat the Dunsparce. Because the Dunsparce only has one rollout, right? The Dunsparce only has one rollout, so I should be fine. Where I can simply shield this, take a drill run, and get to 2 moves. Well, maybe not get to 2 moves, but get it to a point where an Outrage knocks out. I take the drill run. Oh, and I actually swap just to clear my debuff. And then make sure the Outrage KOs. I think when I briefly watched back on the Twitch side, Softove had a funny comment where she was like, Rise living on the edge. Like, if there's 1 turn lag. But we take the game 1 win. This is the infamous jacket people were talking about. Pretty cool jacket, right? Pretty cool. Once again, shout out to Hungry Wolfpack. Harsh on the YouTube chat says, how will the new damage transfer work? For example, if I have Shadow Claw versus Incinerate, how many can I do swap out? My understanding, Harsh, I mean, we're going to have to see. But my understanding is you could do 7 and then transfer the Incinerate onto another Pokemon. We take the game 1 win. In game 2, I bring the B. And I will say I did utilize Beedrill quite a bit in this tournament. Looks like a jacket from a 12-year-old. Box says, Box. Box doesn't like the jacket. Well, maybe I'll take it as a compliment. Him never running ABA rollout was a shock. Yeah, I was a little bit surprised by the Kingdra bring as well. But maybe he was expecting, like, B game 1 for the Zweilous, and Kingdra does pretty well against B. I don't know. But, yeah, he swaps out, and I didn't really talk about this. So this was a common situation I kind of saw throughout the tournament, is if I won the lead with B, because B does just kind of beat Spiritomb, I can take advantage of the situation by getting some nice bug bite damage and some energy, and then swapping my own Licky or maybe my own Dunsparce if I have it, to try and secure this matchup. So this is a situation we're going to see a few times throughout this run. He's also on Shadow Ball, Licky. I throw Earthquake, and I actually win the Chart Attack priority. Now, I swear I lost, like, the vast majority of Chart Attack priorities throughout this tournament, and one reason for that is I didn't really have too many IVs to work with, so most of the Pokemon I'm running on this team are just, like, my best rank Pokemon. I didn't feel like I had any unique spreads that were really worth utilizing. I try to wait a turn here to avoid a potential, like, catch onto a Spiritomb. And now here's the awkward decision I make, where, like, I want to keep alignment, right? I want to keep B on Spiritomb, and I know it could be double rollout, but at the same time, I feel like that Sucker Punch down is just kind of deadly against me. That's a lot of Sucker Punches he can get. So I aggressively swap B, and then I'm met by the Dunsparce, which of course is not great. But what I think was what I think I liked Oh, wait, do I bait here? No, I don't bait. What I think was good decision-making for me in this game is going straight X-Scissor because I have the Kingdra in the back, right? So by, like, guaranteeing the shield or big damage, getting shields down is going to be better for me with the Kingdra. I commit 1 shield. Throw X-Scissor right before the rock slide. Spartan makes the read that he can take this X-Scissor, which I think is the right call for him. And then he fully undercharges this rock slide because he doesn't want to give me a farm down or a head start. We both simultaneously swap. And this is going to come down to a 50-50 call, essentially. He goes for the Rock Tomb. I'm slightly behind. If we were even energy, we would get to 2 moves at the same time. But I'm slightly behind. And I decide just to send it. And he lets it go. Because he knows I have to bait to outpace him to the next outrage. But we make the right call. In the game of Swift or Outrage, we make the right call. That's what this game is called that we're playing. It's called Swift or Outrage. This was the European International Swift or Outrage Championship. And we get the win. Unfortunately, I was not able to get interviewed by Mr. Tomahawk after any of my wins. Quick shout out to Harry, also known as Sustenance Eater, for his first ever top 8 other than Melbourne Regional Championships. And he got top 8 at the biggest tournament ever, which is pretty dang exciting for Mr. Susty. And there's his brother, Nighttime Clasher, who ended up finishing tied 5th. We also saw Paul Lasha. And here is me against C Leonardo, who is known as like one of the best grassroots players of all times. So this is where he really shines, is in these limited formats. And I mean, he's had success in Open Great League as well. Also runs a cool podcast now, which I may or may not be a guest on in the near future. And yes, thank you, Trent. As Homeslice Henry mentions, if you look at the Hazuian Samurai and even Marto and...
It was never going to make an appearance.
Yeah, it's a bit frail.
Marto and Martine talk about it in this like lead up, is the Hazuian Samurai's kind of a menace against my team. But I do have the B as an answer. Kingdra is like a neutral answer. And Licky Licky ahead of turn. Licky Licky just needs to be ahead of turn. So like looking at the Hazuian Samurai on paper, right? Beats Drapion, beats Spiritomb, beats Dunsparce, beats Licky Licky. I've got a good answer in B. I've got a neutral answer in Kingdra. And Licky Licky ahead of turn can actually flip that matchup. So I went with my strongest possible line against the Samurai. And what do you know? I catch it in the lead. And like we talked about, do a little bit of chip damage on Licky Licky. And then go into our own to neutralize it. And at this point, I'm actually okay if I lose switch advantage. Because even if I lose switch advantage, I know I'll have Kingdra on the Samurai, which isn't that bad. So I'm feeling pretty good about this situation. I lose the chart attack priority. And he actually shields the Earthquake, so he's going to try and fight for switch. Which makes sense, right? You can't really afford to get Samurai on B. He goes for another body slam, and I don't know, maybe I should have settled for body slam here, knowing that I would have lost CMP on this Earthquake, but I also didn't want to give him the chance to farm up more. And I decided just to let this go. So his Licky Licky does flip the switch advantage on me. But I'm willing to just, like, save 2 shields for B. And as he swaps my Lodic, like, I'm never going to swap out of this. And this is not as bad of a matchup as a lot of people may have thought for Kingdra. Because the non-stab Dragon Tails don't really do as much as you would think. And Wrap, right, doesn't hit very hard, so it's not that bad of a matchup for Kingdra, especially like in this type of situation. If it's like the lead scenario, that can get pretty bad. But I even get to a second Outrage here, and I still have both my Protect shields, which I can save for the B. Bang, we knock out Milo. 2 shield B. I overfarm just slightly. Throw X-Scissor to knock out, and yeah, he does have energy on Dunsparce, right? But it's not really going to matter. Or Licky Licky, I mean, sorry. But he would need to get to 3 body slams here. I just fire off the Fell Stinger. And that's a lot of what this meta was, right? Just trying to keep an advantage for yourself. I won the lead, and I was able to keep an advantage, even though I lost Switch, to win the game. We got Fragan and Lankern as the judges. I don't care what box says. I like the jacket. Take that, box. Game 2. We lead B into Milo. I don't love this matchup as B. And I actually decide to catch on 4. But he does throw the wrap. Almost like he anticipated a catch, maybe? Which locks me into this debuff here. I throw Earthquake, and you're going to see something pretty crazy in this matchup. Well, maybe it's not that crazy. But he's overfarming. And he's still 1 away, right? I recognize he's 1 away. Never had I lost Chart Attack priority with my Licky against the Dunsparce until here. And I'm like so mad at myself. I'm like, why didn't I just throw it? Because I was not expecting to lose Chart Attack priority here. But that is not great at all. While he's still locked, I come in right away with my Kingdra. And I do 12 Dragon Breaths in throw on CMP. It's just to maximize my Dragon Breath damage and make it so this Swift hopefully knocks out. He comes in with the Milo. And my thought process here is to take the wrap and then switch to clear my debuff. I get the swap out. In comes Licky Licky. And I go for the Fell Stinger bait here. So now we're getting a little bit bold. Because now this looks pretty awkward. But getting the Fell Stinger bait is pretty nice. And against almost everything, one thing I did look up in preparation for this is like when Fell Stinger increases your bug bite damage. And against almost everything it does, unless it's like heavily resisted. So I think like Ariados is one, for example, where Fell Stinger won't increase your bug bite damage. I get the final shield, and now I'm feeling pretty good, where I can just afford to let this go. Oh, never mind. I'm trolling. I'm lying. Because I have energy on Kingdra, I decide I can just get to another X-Scissor to get rid of this. And then my Kingdra should be able to take out the Milotic. I even stay in just to do a little bit more bug bite damage. And I could have probably reached the outrage here, but I just settle for Swift, thinking that plus Dragon Breath will be enough. I knew he's only at the Aqua Tail at this point, which of course is not going to knock out, being double resisted. And we take the win over C Leo. This put us into the top 8, which is really cool, right? Because top 8 is where you see a big increase in championship points. You get the cool playmat, of course, and I think the prize money also increases as well, which is not really what I do it for, but it is, you know, a nice added little incentive in there. Marteau and Martine, the dynamic duo doing their thing. And this set us up against the mighty Colin 6. An absolute beast of a player. Someone that I've actually been playing, I feel like, fairly often in practice tournaments. And oh, you know what? I was actually talking to Colin in the morning, like before play started, and he mentioned to me that we were running the mirror team. So like, I knew that we were running the mirror team, and he took out Blissfully a few rounds before this, who had a really cool team that I thought was playing extremely well. And Blissfully's team honestly kind of scared me against my team, so I would have rather played the mirror team than the Blissfully team. And here we go. We got a mirror match against Colin. So like, we know our own strengths and weaknesses, right? And I know that Spiritomb is pretty safe against our team. So game number 1 immediately, like, this is kind of the ideal scenario. I lead Spiritomb in a Dunsparce. I do a lot of Sucker Punch damage, and then I catch the Drill Run. This is like the picture-perfect scenario for how that lead could have played out. Drill Run coming through. And yeah, and this is something Homeslice and I actually discussed in practice. So shout out to Homeslice, because this was like kind of a... Because, and this is where like scrims can really pay off, is like, I was playing the Dunsparce Spiritomb lead, and trying to figure out, like, how do I maximize that advantage as Spiritomb? And this was, like, something that just kind of made the most sense that we figured out, was, like, 7 and catch. Because you kind of have to throw on 5 if you're Dunsparce. If you don't throw them, you let them debuff you first. Like, it's just not a good. And then he doesn't even get to the Swift as I successfully shield the Outrage. So basically everything has gone right here to start this game. And do I even, like, pivot out at this point? Probably not. I probably just stay, force him to throw energy. And he throws 1 before he gets there. Or gets to it like a double up. So I know I can simply probably come in and throw Rock Tomb, right? Yeah. I can do 1 in Rock Tomb. I force him to either shield or to just completely let his Dunsparce go. He comes in with B. And I elect to stay in. Even though I'm taking a lot of bug bite damage here, I like to stay in to get off this Rock Tomb, to debuff his B, and to pull the last Protect Shield. And what this gives me the confidence to do is, like, now I don't necessarily need to respect the X-Scissor. Versus, like, if I don't debuff him, right, the X-Scissor is going to do a lot more. And now I don't necessarily need to respect the X-Scissor. Swift will definitely knock out the B. And we still have a shield to hide behind, so we're in a pretty comfortable looking position here. As Dunsparce does have a lot of energy. But you get to Swift so quickly, of course. 9 turns. That we win the chart attack priority and we take game 1 against Colin. In, like, pretty convincing fashion. So, like, this... I don't know. I was feeling good. I was feeling confident. But, you know, if you look at that game, almost like every call we kind of made correctly that game, which I think is why it was so convincing. Every catch, every like chart attack priority, when to throw. Shielding the outrage from Kingdra onto Dunsparce as well. Like, almost everything went right for us that game. Quick pause. This is kind of cool. I don't know, just like over the years, right? I'm like also, you know, like a fan of the game as well as a player. And I don't know, it's kind of cool just like looking at all these and playing against someone the caliber of Colin that has all these incredible accolades himself. Game number 2. I like this lead, and I think Colin makes a brilliant play here by not playing this out and just aggressively swapping Spiritomb. And I make the aggressive play of going for the Swift bait here. If Colin lets this outrage go, potential outrage, he doesn't get to a move, and the game is essentially over. And Colin with stones calls the Swift bait and immediately sort of flips the advantage in his favor. Right? If that is an outrage, the game is virtually over, and I'm on to day 3. So that one moment right there almost like flips the momentum in a way of obviously the game, but like the match as well. So now I've got a debuffed Dunsparce, and he lines up his own Dunsparce. Really no incentive to shield, no incentive to throw as well, because he wants to lock me as long as possible. And I'm starting to approach drill run range. So I throw energy. He throws energy before I can dip out of here. And I swap into to Kingdra. I go down. I go down both protect shields. Yikes! He swaps into Spiritomb, and dude, oh, this just it's just so brutal. I think I threw on bad timing there as well, so I'm making a few misplays. Whereas if I don't throw on bad timing, I probably would have taken one less sucker punch. And then one Dragon Breath snipes me. So, oh god. And then I don't wait out my switch timer either. So, if I waited out my switch timer right, maybe I'd give myself a chance for a catch, but like, he still has all the time in the world to throw. He still has 2 shields. I don't think it really would have mattered. So I think at that point, I was just almost like conceding in a way by coming in immediately. That particular game. And there we go. We go down, or we are now tied up 1-1, and I take you back to... I remember people always tell me in some of my YouTube recaps there's like different commands for not just the arrows, but for like fast forward and rewind a little bit more than the arrows. What are those keyboard commands, if anyone knows? But yeah, we this moment right here just kind of changes the tides of everything, right? Just the stone cold Swift bait call. If he takes the outrage, the game is just, it's basically over. Because what does he even do? He comes in with Kingdra. I like get a bunch of chip damage. I come in Spiritomb. I debuff Dunsparce. Go Dunsparce. Game's over. L? Ooh, nice. But Colin makes a really bold read and reads me like a book and flips game number 2, which sets up game number 3. Let's get into it. Oh, And yeah, this will be a good one to watch back. I'm going to snooze this ad break that I see coming up. But game 3 is one I feel like I put myself in a tremendous position. As we see the Drapion mirror. Drapion mirror here. What's up, Will D? Welcome in. Thank you. And as we see, once again, I lose chart attack priority, which isn't ideal. So because I lose the chart attack priority, what I'm not going to do here is throw immediately. I'm going to go for the sneak and shield to try and overfarm here. And Colin pivots Dunsparce. And when he pivots Dunsparce, I really like this situation for me. I throw Crunch. And I even get the Crunch debuff. Now here, I elected to throw this second Crunch. And I think this is a mistake. I think I'm better off preserving this Crunch for later and going in with my own Dunsparce while he's switch locked. But in the moment, you know, it's like he's debuffed. I can fire off this hard-hitting Crunch. I'm going for it. And Colin basically just completely sacrifices his Dunsparce. I swap in to catch this on my own Dunsparce. Get a little bit of farm. Keep my Drapion around. And I'm feeling like this is a pretty good situation, man. He does still have 2 shields, however. So that is a cause for concern. Uh-oh. Okay. He throws up a shield on my drill run. I throw in bad timing here to not let him debuff me first. I don't know if that's a mistake, maybe. But I get both shields. And then he throws here. I still have a shield. I need to save one, right, for the Shadow Ball. I take just a moment here to think about what I want to do, right? Because I could come in with Drapion and maybe get to a move here. But then I feel like the catch just becomes super easy for him. So instead, I like to come in Spiritomb. I kind of have to shield, right? Letting a Shadow Ball go through would be like a lose con. So I shield Rock Tomb. And then he's a few Sucker Punches behind me. He's 1 Sucker Punch behind me. So in this moment, I know the catch is probably coming. And I wait. I see the catch attempt. And in my head, in this like split-second moment, I'm like, okay, I have to save the move for the Spiritomb and go my own Drapion. And he lets me get this off. And this might be the play of the tournament. Letting me get this off. And I actually should have undercharged here, probably. But I take it out. But by taking out his Drapion, Colin can now farm down my Drapion, and it comes down to a chart attack priority. And Colin wins the chart attack priority. And he flips a game that looked like it was in a really good position in my favor. Which is tough. But well played to him. And a pleasure to play Colin. Someone I had never played in the championship series. And in hindsight, and it took like maybe 2 minutes for me to think of this, but in hindsight, I think I had a clear-cut win condition here. And the clear-cut win condition was his Drapion was dry. His Drapion was dry, so I can simply overfarm here, which would have put me, even with the wait, let's say I throw after 3. If I throw after 3, well, actually, maybe that doesn't math out. If I throw after 3, he can then do 4. And then he's only 4 away. So then I would lose anyway. So the only thing I think I could have done here, because Colin played this so cleverly, is the only thing I really could have done here is keep on tapping, over farm to 4, throw on chart attack priority to knock out the Drapion. Spiritomb comes in. Spiritomb is forced to throw energy against my Spiritomb, and then I outpace with my Drapion. And yeah, no, you're right, Henry. Yeah. I just thought of that in my head as well as I was explaining it. His Spiritomb is also so low, he couldn't even afford to overfarm that much. So basically, what I needed to do here, when the Drapion swaps in, right? Because in my head, in the moment, I'm just thinking about avoiding the catch and saving the move. But what I should have done was just stay in, throw my move. He's forced to throw his move because he's so low, and then my Drapion can get to an Aqua Tail. How many players would have been able to do that in this moment? I don't know. Maybe every single person in the chat would have done that. Maybe only Pto Man and Colin would have done that. I don't know. But yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one when you know you clearly could have done something that would have changed the outcome, right? And what was difficult about this as well was because I was in winners semis, Colin now goes to day 3. Oh, and by the way, I hope Colin doesn't mind me saying this, but when Colin wins the chart attack priority and delivers the Shadow Ball to send him to day 3, you know what he says to me? You know what he says to me, chat? Take a guess. In this moment right here. Oh, we have an ad break. I'm gonna wait for this ad break because I think it's pretty funny. Ernesto, thank you for the follow. Bad Mannerisms asked, what Mon do I think had the most value on my team and the least value? That's a good question. I would say, I don't know. I would say Drapion and Licky were probably the Mons I brought the least. But I don't know if I would say they were the least valuable. I would say Spiritomb. I would say Spiritomb was probably my most brought Pokemon. It was so good. All right. Ad break's over. As Colin wins the chart attack priority and delivers the game-winning Shadow Ball, he says to me, Lucky Spiritomb. Lucky Spiritomb. Lucky Spiritomb. Because I also have some attack on my Spiritomb So I thought there was a chance, naively, that I was going to win that chart attack priority as well. But he knew. He knew he was going to win that chart attack priority. Ernesto, thank you so much. And thank you for the follow. Guys, we need to shout out Box as well. Box in the chat said my jacket looked like a 12-year-old's jacket. And then follows up with, he could have mirrored your play, which I'm not entirely sure what you mean. I think Box just has a higher IQ. I don't really know what he's trying to say there. He outplayed you. So, thank you, Box. Henry timed out Box. I was actually kind of enjoying it. Now, meanwhile, if I go to the final stage here, let's see if it loads. So, while I started on the winner's side, we beat Spartan, we beat C Leo, we lose to Colin. And when I go to the loser side of the bracket, I am now in losers round 6. So I'm in losers round 6, awaiting whoever I'm going to play. And at this point in time, like, the losers bracket was basically just starting. So meanwhile, Lil Ol Rise is waiting up here in losers round 6. A man by the name of Mr. Pto Man defeats Kellio, defeats Blissfully, defeats his friend Chris, defeats Paula, his fellow Spaniard, defeats Sustenance Eater. And while he just keeps going and going and going, I had like 5 hours of time to just wait. So I literally went back to my hotel. I went to a supermarket. I got some like snacks. And I took like a little power nap. And then went back to the venue. And this whole time, while I'm just kind of like, you know, chilling, Pto Man has been playing and like staying hot. And I'm not saying like that as any sort of excuse or like that makes any difference. I'm just saying like, I'm just kind of saying that as like an external factor, you know, like I had like 5 hours of time just to kind of wait to who I was going to play. And Pato is just marching on through the losers bracket. So here we go. Skip all, look at this. We're at 5 minutes and 8 seconds when I play Colin. And I'm skipping ahead to 10 hours, literally 5 hours later. 5 hours later. Yeah, Henry. I found the box comment kind of funny, though, because, like, I feel like we literally went through several minutes of me explaining the clever plays from Colin and how I was outplayed from his bold calls and clever decisions. And then he felt the need to go out of his way to say he outplayed you, almost as if implying, like, that wasn't already articulated. So I almost found it kind of funny. I miss you, Box. We'll wait for you. Here we go. Against Pto Man, who at this point, how many matches has Pto Man won in a row at this point? 1, 2. So he ended up winning 15 in a row. So Pto Man in this tournament, he was the #1 overall seed, which is also pretty cool in itself. If a #1 overall seed like goes on to win the tournament. But keep in mind, he lost winners round 3. And after getting a bye, So he basically only won one match. So he'd won 10 in a row at this point, and I'm coming off a loss. So just like the momentum, I don't know. I am someone that like is, I think I like to be logical, but I also think like momentum is a real thing. And here we go. I lead Drapion into Spiritomb. This is pretty good because my Licky Licky is avoiding the Spiritomb, which is ideal for me. And we saw me play this matchup earlier against Chris, and I go for the Aquatail bait, and once again, I'm able to successfully Aquatail bait. But even with the Aquatail bait, it's not like it makes this matchup suddenly that much more favorable for Drapion. He goes for the Rock Tomb. I shield it. Go for the Crunch this time. He lets it go. I decided not to throw Aquatail because it doesn't quite KO after the debuff. So I shield another Rock Tomb, and I'm going to try and overfarm as much as possible. I go up to double Crunch, and of course Aquatail should knock out here, but I feel like with his double water, you know, if I allow him to catch a double debuffed Aquatail on one of his water types, like that's pretty bad for me, so I go for the Crunch to be just a little bit safer. I'm double debuffed, so he comes in my low tick. I do 2 poisonous things, swap out into Licky. Now that Spiritomb is gone, right, my Licky isn't really afraid of anything. He goes for a Wrap to lock me into a debuff here. I do save my Crunch for later, though, which is nice. And now he goes for the Aquatail here. Evan Burt, welcome in, first-time chatter. He connects on the Aquatail here. I fire off Earthquake. I want to guarantee a lot of damage or maybe get the last Protect Shield. Earthquake connects. I get off my Body Slam here before going down, and my Lodic is going to barely hang on here to this Body Slam, and he's going to be able to save the Aquatail as he goes into Sea King. Maybe I should have, like, blind swapped, but I think the reason I didn't want to blind swap was in case he, like, I didn't know if he was going to throw the Aquatail before going down. So those are, like, minute decisions in this meta, man, can make such a big difference. So the reason I didn't instant swap was I didn't know if he was going to just blind throw the Aquatail there. But because I didn't do that, it also allows him to debuff me first with the Icy Wind, which is not ideal. Evan Burt, thank you for the follow. And that's just how the tournament was structured, Evan Burt. It's not like it was, you know, it's not like it was out to get me or anything. That's just how it worked. But we land the Drill Run. And Pto Man elects to not fire off the Mega Horn, instead overfarm here while using his last shield. And this creates a very awkward situation where he's 1 peck away from the Icy Wind, I believe. I have a move on Drapion, and I know he has the Milotic with an Aquatail as like a catch potential. So I spend this, dude, this 10 seconds felt like an eternity. Like, what do I do here? Because I know the catch is probably coming. And I also can't, like, overfarm. Otherwise, Sea King gets to a move, and Sea King is going to win CMP usually against my Drapion. So I decide to do, like, kind of a show and go. Because I know he has to kind of catch or do 1 and catch. Or, like, 1 and throw. So I do a little show and go. And I swap in Licky Licky as he tries to catch. And now I basically got 2 moves where he can't really throw. So I pull a clever little endgame play here. And I'm able to flip game 1 against Pato. And I don't know if the camera sees it here. But I think there was a point where I looked at Pato. Huh. Also, I will say one thing. I think, in hindsight, I need to have a little bit more fun with this. Because that was a pretty nasty play.
Tells us this game is over. Somehow, Rise
Seeking
wins.
gets squashed by the body slam. Rise to occasion.
And there is part of me that's always liked, like players or like athletes that are just like super calm and like stoic. But I think maybe I should have a little bit more fun with it and like look at the camera or something after that type of play.
As chill as he's sitting there, from within, there must be a burst of joy to win a game that looked impossible to overcome.
It looked like pure chaos, but it turned into a choreographed dance as both trainers tried to anticipate each other over the limit, and it actually turned out in favor for Rise. Peekaboo play from Rise, the instant pivot out for the catch for Pto Man, and those two strategies.
I think maybe I should have a little bit more fun with it because, yeah, there's so much on the line and you're playing versus Patos on a 10 straight. Probably just want to stay locked in. Yeah, I think that's kind of where my mind is at, Trip, where like, I even though it'd be cool to like show some emotion with that type of play, I never want to like celebrate early when I know like the job's not finished, right? So I think that's kind of where my head is at, is like, yeah, that was pretty nasty, but like, job's not finished. Nothing to celebrate, right? Kobe Bryant. For those in the chat that don't know what I'm talking about, there's a famous interview with the late great Kobe Bryant, where I think his team was up 3-0 in the finals. And the reporter was like, and he was like so serious and stoic in his post-game interview after going up 3-0, first 1-4 wins. And the interviewer was like, Kobe, you guys just went up 3-0 in the finals. Can we at least get like a smile out of you? And he's like, what's there to smile about? Job finished? I don't think so. So, yeah. Game 2. Spiritomb mirror match. And once again, guys, I've got some attack on this Spiritomb. My Spiritomb's got some attack. He's not a rank 1 or anything. But once again, I lose chart attack priority. Dang flabbit. IVs don't matter, they said. Rank 1s. Well, mine's not a rank 1, like I said, but everyone's just playing research IVs. But once again, I lose chart attack priority, and I can't really shield this, right? Because what am I shielding this for? To get rid of a super low Spiritomb with a useless Spiritomb? So I kind of have to let this go. And Pato makes a nice play, of course, by not allowing the farm down. I think I should have thrown a move immediately. Like, in hindsight, I could say, like, outrage immediately, right? But I think just throwing a move immediately to put the pressure on him would have been nice here. Because if I can get off a move before he throws a move, then I feel like it's really difficult for him to no shield. But I let him get a move off first, and with 2 shields up, he goes for a diabolical Mega Horn. The significance of landing the Mega Horn in this matchup is now you can basically peck down and shield once. And I go for a Swift bait. And Pato calls the Swift bait. Like an absolute savage. And now that he's able to call the Swift bait, he's going to let this go, or he's going to shield this, I mean, so he can debuff whatever comes in, which is, I think, really smart play. So the combination of winning the chart attack priority and every subsequent decision Pato has made this game, I think, has just been the right call. So now he locks my Dunsparce into a debuff against this Milotic, which already is a pretty, like, even matchup. So if I'm doing, 25% less damage or 12.5% less damage from the debuff. Like, yeah, it's just not a good situation here. First time chatter, Emperor World. I appreciate your support, man. Thank you for coming on in. And yeah, at this point, like I clear my debuff, but the reason I don't bother throwing Drill Run here is because if I throw Drill Run while taking a move, like I'm never going to get rid of the Spiritomb. Spiritomb's always just going to Sucker Punch me down first, so I'm basically just like over farming by some sort of chance I can throw multiple Drill Runs, but pretty comfortable win here for Pto game 2. What could we have done differently? I mean, it was really that secondary matchup of Kingdra versus Sea King. I could have thrown maybe instantly. And maybe I'm like misremembering, but because the camera doesn't seem to show me looking at Pto at any point. But after I pulled off that game 1 win, I almost remember like looking across the table at Pto. And he was just like so locked in and like almost smirking as if like, I guess there's a chance it was like right in that brief moment there, but maybe I'm just making things up. But I almost remember like looking at him and he had like a little smirk like, all right, like that was kind of nice, but you know, I still feel good about this. So Pto evens up the series. And sets up a decisive game 3. Winner go home at this point, right? Winner of this next game gets at least a 4th place trophy. Sanhudigo says Pto started 0-1 every time in a 2-1 series. You know what's crazy about that, Sanhudigo, is when I was prepping for this tournament, I felt like that was happening to me most of the time. I felt like I was losing game 1 super often, and I was able to like adjust and win the second too. However, in this tournament, it was kind of the opposite because I only dropped a single game until like my 6th win before eventually dropping to Colin. But in preparation, that's what I often found was happening to me, was I was losing game 1 and able to win the next 2. Here we go. Winner go home. Pto had run Spiritomb lead the previous 2 games, and I figured my low tick as well could be a potential lead for him. So I was kind of hoping to catch Spiritomb or maybe my low tick and try to pull some plays from there. Unfortunately, I lead into the Dunsparce. And in a meta, in a game of inches, I make the catch. However, I do one too many bug bites than I wanted to do. I do one too many bug bites than I wanted to do. And I don't get the rollout to sneak through here, which like may seem small, but honestly, that is a big deal. That is a big deal, is not getting an extra rollout here. I go for the extra. Pto goes for the wrap. I double up on Drill Run here. Pto is at the Aqua Tail, so he could win the CMP here with the Aqua Tail and knock me out, but instead, he actually elects to hold on to the energy and keep farming. And then Pto, I think, makes an incredible read here. And he waits to see the typing change, doesn't do a Dragon Tail. You can see him pause to wait and see the typing change and throws it at my B drill. And this is not ideal at all for me. Aquatail lands. He comes in with Dunsparce. I go for a Fell Stinger here, and this, I think, is just a straight-up mistake. Because at this point, what is Fell Stinger really doing for me? Maybe if I successfully bait, it allows me to reach another. But I think the guaranteed damage from X-Scissor or the shield is what suits me here. And I think this is a scenario where the bait is just unnecessary. To be fair, it looks like the Fell Stinger bait, if successful, would have still allowed me to reach the X-Scissor, which would have been pretty huge. But I still think I would have been better off just going for the guaranteed damage or getting a shield. Because now he throws to knock me out. And I think I, again, make a mistake here by throwing this Swift. I think at this point in the game, so I didn't want to like let him get to a drill run here, but I think had I just shielded the drill run, committed to a full farm down, I still give myself a chance. But by throwing the Swift, I just have such little energy that this is going to be nearly impossible. Rock Tomb grabs my shield. I go for the Swift bait, because at this point, like, he almost has to shield, right? Like, letting through an Outrage would just be unnecessary at this point as a way to lose. I'm, like, trying to be careful for I'm almost hoping he, like, unnecessarily swaps in the Milo to, like, open up a win condition for me. But he doesn't do that, of course. He's Pto Man. He swaps in Milo and just smartly throws Aquatail to get rid of me here. And unfortunately, one Dragon Tail is going to get my Kingdra. We go down to Pto Man, who ended up pulling off probably the greatest tournament of all time. And and like, I'll take you through my emotions here. So you have to keep in mind in this immediate point in time, right? Back to 5 hours earlier, right? I'm one win away from day 3. I'm one win away from day 3. And then I lose, getting outplayed by Colin. Have to wait 5 hours. Just trying to, like, stay there, you know, stay ready. And then lose again to Pto Man. So, top 6 at the biggest tournament ever at EYC is an incredible achievement. But in this immediate moment, I just had this, like, great wave of disappointment. And, like, this great wave of emotion come over me. So, like, I walked backstage, and I grabbed my backpack and everything, and I went over to the prize pickup, and there was, like, a few people in line for prize pickup. So they told me just, like, hang on a sec. And I kind of went over to the side for, like, a few seconds, and I just had this, like, wave of emotion come over me. And I kind of cried for, like, a little bit. Like, nothing crazy. It wasn't like I was bawling or anything, but, like, 2 to 4 tears maybe streamed down my face. Because it just all just kind of hit me, like, because when you're in winter semifinals, you almost, like, start to taste it a little bit, right? Like, you start to visualize, like, I've got to I have a chance here to become the European International Champion. And then a few calls, man, a few decisions, a few split-second calls, you just don't go your way. You don't make the right one. They make the right one, and you're out. So it all just kind of hit me. And it's the first time in my entire playing career I actually, shed a few tears, like in the immediate aftermath of a battle. I remember in 2023 in Arlington, I was losers finals against Dune. After I started in the losers side bracket that day, I went all the way to losers finals. I was up 2-0, and then I threw game 3 so hard, and then I lost 2 in a row. So I got reverse swept by Dune, and those were in the days where only top 2 got the Worlds invite. So I was like so devastated, and I remember like I didn't really show it. I just kind of held in the emotions, but I remember after I like flew home, got picked up by my mom at the time when I was living in Wisconsin, like I started crying in the car. Like it all just kind of hit me then. This was the first time it just kind of hit me like when I was actually there, and it only lasted like a few seconds. I didn't like make a scene or anything. I don't know if anyone even noticed, but oh man, just like this wave of emotion. But like within a few minutes, I had some people come up to me and congratulate me on the run and saying a lot of nice things. Ashton Ash, I think, was maybe the first one that came up to me and just like congratulating me. And those feelings dissipated pretty quickly. And like, yeah, I watch it back and there's still a little bit of disappointment from like a couple of those plays against Colin, because I do legitimately feel like, I had a good chance, or I don't know if that's the best way to phrase it, but I genuinely feel like that day, that tournament, I was capable of winning it all and becoming the champion. And it just didn't quite go my way there at the end. But that being said, within the next hour, 2 hours, you start to think about it and you start to be really proud of like what you had accomplished. And I almost see the beauty in like having those emotions, and like there's something so real. I know I'm getting all weird here. You can block me, as I say, but there's something like beautiful about like being in a position where you like can feel that like heartbreak and that emotion. So yeah, so kind of my thoughts. Box, thanks. I don't know if there's like a language barrier, Box, but I think you're trying to be nice now, so I'll allow it. Yeah. And as I think as someone mentioned earlier in the chat, Dracoviz does do these like player leaderboards now. So if you go based off like this season, there's like an ELO. So obviously the nice performance bumps me up a little bit. And what's crazy about this is after that tournament run, Pto to the next guy, Pto to the number 2 player has a 40-point discrepancy, which is absolutely crazy. It just shows how like dominant he is right now. But I'm pretty proud. I'm pretty proud about how I've been playing this season, and yeah. I don't really know how much more we have to show. Oh, I can show you guys my my top 8, Matt. Pretty cool, eh? Pretty cool, Matt. And yeah, thank you, Axon. I appreciate you. I've been close before, and you know, maybe I'm delusional, but I do feel like I'm capable of doing it. So I'm looking forward to the next one, to NAIC, and yeah. I feel like I was gonna say something else, but I forget. Triptondo, what was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? But yeah, a couple decisions, right? If I just go for the outrage right against Colin, the game's essentially over, and I'm winner's side day 3. So who knows what happens from there. I would say the Pto series was a little bit more one-sided, because game 1, I was kind of behind the whole game, and I made a nice play at the end to win. And game 2 and 3, like, I don't know. I don't think those games were like that close, really. I think Pto really won that set relatively convincingly. Thanks, Tristan. Thank you, Alexa. You're so sweet. And yeah, I think that's pretty much gonna do it, guys, unless you have any more questions. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I tried to take something from like every tournament and every loss, and you know, gameplay aside, I think one thing I might try to do if I ever find myself in a similar position is I might try to like go do something active. If I have 5 hours to kill before my next game, instead of like just taking a nap and getting food, I think I might try to like go to a gym or something, or find a gym, or like go for a walk, or like do something that wakes me up, energizes me, instead of just kind of lounging around. I think that, gameplay aside, I think that's one thing I might try to do if I ever find myself in this position again. And I'm not trying to make excuses, by the way. Please don't take it as that. Like, I was thoroughly outplayed by Pto, and honestly, I will say, as like a fan of the game itself, it's almost an honor for me to like be intertwined in a sense with the greatest tournament run of all time. Like, I don't know. If I take out the feelings of like wishing I had won, right? It's almost an honor for me to have been a part of, you know, playing against Colin in his long-awaited first time getting an international trophy, and then playing against Pto Man, who has placed himself along the likes of its Axon as probably the GOAT, or one of the GOATs of our game. So yeah. But I'm just saying things that I can potentially do differently in future tournaments, just to give myself the best chance. But yeah, I think that's pretty much gonna do it. Yeah, exactly, Pyro Panda. Guys, I got a gym pass on Monday in London, and it was literally $15 for a single day pass, when the monthly membership was like $30. What kind of BS scam is that? Oh, and also, Moo Deathcat. That's not you, Moonius, is it? Different Moo. I did just post a YouTube video kind of reacting to the changes on my thoughts, so you get like more of my full thoughts there as we wrap this up. But basically, I'm extremely hopeful. It seems like the two major bugs are being addressed. Those being damage registration error and the game not visually updating when you stop tapping. Those two in itself being addressed and fixed are huge if those become consistent. And I think the main concern people have right now is if the game operates similar in functionality to like how we have trainer battles right now, or like Go Rocket grunt battles, it does feel a little bit like slow and clunky, as like the turns seem to get realigned with the new system. So I think that's the concern people have. No, I have not played any battles on the new system, Axon, other than like I did watch Maxi play some on the new system, but I haven't actually played any myself. But I'm hopeful. I think it's optimistic. And if you guys haven't watched Axon's YouTube video, you should definitely go watch that. He has a great interview with Ben, who works for Niantic Scopely. I don't know. Whenever I address Niantic Scopely, I don't know like who to say anymore. Is it both? Is it one? But I've had the pleasure of meeting Ben a few times over the years, and he's always like super nice and super in tune with like what the community's asking for. So he definitely pays attention, and he definitely cares, which is great. Niantic is still correct. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Chat, that's pretty much going to do it. Top 6 at EUIC. Oh, check this out. What's crazy is if you look at the final standings of day 2, and you just see 10-0 Pto Man. Look at this. First place 10-0. Second place 4-2, 3-2, 3-2, 2-2. Nighttime Clasher lost kind of early 4, so he went 4-2. Beelzeboy, shout out to him. 4-1 because he started on loser side. And shout out to Sustenance Eater. His second career top 8. And it came at the biggest tournament of all time. Shout out to all these folks as well. Shout out to Pyro Panda just because he's in the chat. And I think that's going to do it, folks. Makes you feel like you played a different tournament than a guy who played that many games. Yeah. Yeah, another stat, guys, is when Martine and Adequance won back-to-back regional championships this year, he won 15 consecutive matches, winning back-to-back regionals. And Pto Man won 15 consecutive matches in this tournament by itself. Your boy here, little old me, had a nice streak of winning Merida, which was 8 consecutive matches, and then 6 consecutive matches for EUIC before I went 0-2 to Colin and Pato. So I had 14 consecutive wins across 2 tournaments where I got 1st and 5th. And Pato, once again, won more consecutive matches within a single tournament. It's hard to illustrate just how impressive it is what he did over in London this past weekend. And yeah. Also, one last shout out to another trainer, Blissfully. Less, maybe less on people's radar, but I played against Blissfully in a practice tournament, and he, destroyed me in the practice with this same exact team he was running. And Blissfully only lost to the same 2 people that I lost to, but he just had to play Pto Man earlier. So it kind of shows you, for all we know, if Blissfully had a different path, right? blissfully very well, I think, could have had an even deeper run than he had. All right, guys. That's going to do it for real this time. I think I might, oh, echo. I might try to work on a secondary YouTube recap that's a little bit more edited and storytelling versus doing my traditional sort of recap. And I'll probably post this VOD to YouTube because I'm simul streaming. But, yeah, I think I might work on like a more edited version with a little more storytelling as sort of a side project right now with the YouTube. Who should we raid? Carly. Who's Carly? I'm not familiar with
I could make it cheaper, maybe.
Carly, but we always encourage new Pogo PvPers. Looks like she's running some Corsola in the Great League. And I'll see you guys later for some GBL. Not later today, but maybe tomorrow.
But the camera is set up for me to be
And
slouching.
peace.
Wait. Oh no. A raid incoming. Oh